What is up, you guys? My name is Aubrey and this is my channel, and today is July 1st, which means that it is the end of the second quarter. We are heading into a new month. Summer is full swing, and that is absolutely crazy to me because I feel like I've said it before and I will continue to say it. I feel like just yesterday was February, and the fact that it is now July 1st is mind-blowing to me. But what is even more mind-blowing than the fact that it is now July 1st is the fact that we have now been handling and dealing with the aftermath of COVID-19 for 3 whole months. So that means it has been 3 months of stimulus payments, of talking about the CARES Act, of talking about the EIDL grant program, of talking about pandemic payments and the economic recovery and all of that other stuff has now been going on for just about 3 months, which is crazy. But as we head into July and as we head into the third quarter, these discussions have not slowed down. In fact, as we head into July, economists still agree that we really need a second round of stimulus funding, whether it be through stimulus checks, whether it be through PUA or unemployment insurance, whether it be through other forms of stimulus funding and capital injection into businesses. Economists across the nation agree that we need some sort of stimulus funding in order to keep the economy afloat. So with that being said, today I'm going to be discussing 3 different programs that are up for negotiations this month. We will be discussing stimulus checks, we'll be discussing extensions and modifications to the PUA program, and we'll be discussing a third program that is on the table and is being negotiated, which is a hiring bonus or a return to work bonus. So I will be discussing these 3 programs, what these 3 programs mean to you, and whether or not you can expect to get more money from the government once these programs pass. So let's get started. So let's first talk stimulus checks. So as you guys know, within the CARES Act, there was a $1,200 stimulus check program where each eligible American could receive $1,200. And in some instances, if somebody had kids or if they were married, they could receive more. But that stimulus program was kind of a mess. And still to this day, as of July 1st, there are a lot of people across the country that still have not received their stimulus money. But even with that, there are still discussions of implementing a second round of stimulus checks to eligible Americans in this next round of stimulus funding. But the answer of what that will look like is kind of up in the air. In fact, President Donald Trump himself has gone on record saying that he isn't against the idea of giving out another round of stimulus checks. But the problem is that Republicans and Democrats are very divided on what these stimulus checks would look like. How much would it be for, who would be eligible for it, and what are kind of the guidelines and restrictions associated with the stimulus checks. There's a lot of talks of potentially limiting the stimulus checks to only people who have lost their jobs or only people who are severely economically impacted by the crisis, rather than giving it out to just any eligible American, regardless of how they've been affected by COVID-19. Now, I don't know if stimulus checks will end up being a reality for everyday Americans who are still working and who are able to still pay their bills. But I do think that at the end of the day, there will be some sort of stimulus checks that are sent out to affected Americans, whether that be people who lost their job, people who are living below the poverty line, people who are severely economically impacted. Whatever the case is, I do think that there will be some form of funding issued. It's just kind of a question of what that will look like. So now let's talk about PUA. So as you guys know, PUA is Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. And what PUA did was it really extended traditional unemployment. It allowed for an additional $600 per week on top of the traditional unemployment insurance. And so the benefit was much larger than it would be on a normal kind of case-by-case basis. But on top of that, it also allowed for people who are independent contractors, self-employed individuals, gig workers to also qualify for some form of unemployment, which is normally not the case on a regular day-by-day basis. But the problem with PUA is that the benefits are almost too good. For example, a survey done by the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimated that 5 out of 6 PUA recipients are earning more on unemployment than they would be if they returned to work, which means that they are financially benefiting from the fact that they are not working and they are instead receiving PUA and unemployment benefits. Now, this becomes a big issue because there is no incentive in this case for 5 out of 6 Americans to return to work. Why would you want to return to work if you can collect PUA and you can make more money doing that without having to work, without having to pay for childcare, without having to go into an office or do labor work or do whatever the case is that you were doing beforehand? Why would you want to do that if you could collect more money on PUA than you would be doing that job? And this has proven to be a big issue because it is the reality of the situation for so many Americans that are decentivized to go to work because they're collecting more on PUA. So with this, there has been a lot of discussion to allow the program to end on July 31st like originally intended. In fact, that is what a lot of Republicans want, but there are a lot of Democrats that want to extend the PUA benefits out until the end of the year, December 31st. Now, there is a lot of concern on what extending it to December 31st would mean for the U.S. economy. Would it mean that these people would simply just not try to get a job? Would it lead to unemployment fraud? Would it lead to different issues with businesses struggling to find workers? And I think all of those concerns are very valid. But there are other propositions brought by both Republicans and Democrats saying that instead of ending it July 31st and instead of extending it to December 31st, let's meet in the middle and let's phase out the program. So instead of it being it ends on July 31st or ends on December 31st, the amount decreases on a week-by-week or a month-by-month basis until it disappears altogether. There is also discussion of decreasing the PUA amount to make it less desirable for people and to make it so that they will be making more working rather than staying on PUA. And another option is to have it be on a case-by-case basis. So the PUA would take into account the standard of living and the cost of living on a state-by-state basis and issue the PUA in accordance to those cost of living standards. I think all of these proposals are reasonable proposals, and I am particularly interested to see what Congress and the Senate and Republicans and Democrats decide on this PUA issue specifically. Because I understand the value with PUA, and I do think that it has helped a lot of Americans over the course of the last few months, but I definitely understand the fact that it is an extremely attractive option for people that would otherwise make less money if they were going to work. And so I do definitely understand that it takes the incentive of going to work away. But I will definitely keep you guys updated on the PUA, and as of now, we aren't sure exactly what direction this is going to head in. I would not be surprised if come July 31st, the program does not end and it is extended in some form until the government can negotiate a more permanent solution to go into the end of the year. Now, the third and final proposal I want to discuss today is the back to work bonus. Now, this is a bonus that is being proposed by a number of Republicans, and it is kind of a way to combat the issue with PUA that we discussed earlier. And that is a bonus given to workers that return to work and in turn get off the unemployment assistance program. Now, there has been a couple of different propositions with this type of program. One is a flat rate $1,200 bonus once you return to work, and that is the equivalent of 2 weeks on PUA. Another proposal that I've seen is doing $450 a week for 6 weeks and then phasing it out over that 6-week period. Now, this is an interesting way, and I think it's kind of a creative solution to the problem presented by the $600 a week PUA program, but I will be interested to see how this is proposed in Congress and what is the response from both Democrats and Republicans on doing some sort of back to work bonus, whether that be the $1,200 per week, $450 per week, or something different. So with that being said, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope it gave you some valuable insight into the different stimulus packages that are being proposed and the different programs that we may be hearing more about as July progresses and as we head into the rest of the year. Like always, if you guys have any comments, if you have any insights, or if you have any thoughts on these stimulus packages, make sure to leave a comment down below. And also, if you have not applied for the EIDL program, make sure to do that before the program ends. You qualify if you're self-employed, if you have a side hustle, if you're a gig worker, an independent contractor, or a business owner. So if any of those apply to you and you have not applied for the EIDL program yet, make sure to do that before the program closes. But like always, I would appreciate if you guys could hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. I would greatly appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next video.